This is Total Retail Tech Insights.
The content retail executives need to optimize their use of technology throughout their organizations.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of Total Retail Tech Insights. I'm Joe Keenan, the editor-in-chief of Total Retail. I'm really excited to be joined on this episode by Chelsie Hall, who is the founder and CEO of ViralMoment. Chelsie was actually a presenter at our Total Retail Tech event last month in Denver, and she was the winner of our Startup Challenge, which featured a couple startup founders talking about their businesses and their products and how they could be relevant to our audience of retail judges and also the audience at Total Retail Tech. So we're thrilled to kind of continue that conversation here in this podcast episode with Chelsie. So thanks for joining me today, Chelsie.
Thanks so much for having me, Joe. I'm excited to be here.
So I'd love for you, just to get us started, to tell our audience a little bit about ViralMoment and kind of the work that you do, the industry you serve, kind of give a little primer for the audience on the business.
Absolutely. ViralMoment's a social intelligence tool, and we recognize that social video matters, and what's happening on social video matters so much to brands. So we are a team that has built an AI bot that can essentially watch millions of social videos. By doing that, we can tell brands, hey, what are your customers saying about you? What's trending? How long are trends sticking around for versus flaming out? We really understand patterns in retail and consumers, what consumers care about and how they think of brands, and share that information back with brands and that data.
So that bot, is that in terms of the implementation for the client that is going to be using it, is it something that they interject in their code? How do you kind of get that bot up and running so that it's following whatever the client's social videos or whatever the content they're interested in tracking? Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're an insights company at our core and in our heart, Joe. So we realize, hey, what's happening in social video matters, and brands need to be able to see that. We've got our own tools. Brands can access that on the browser. It's a SaaS-based subscription tool where you can log in and self-serve to understand what's happening on social video concerning your audiences and your brand. We also send out email alerts and notifications, and we do have insights reporting teams on our staff who can help tell you, what's going on in the world. Ultimately, at the end of the day, though, I think it's a technology tool. It can manifest in a couple ways, but the important thing that we're really working on is helping brands to understand this new beast that is social video, which is completely changing the retail landscape. And if it was a little bit important to brands a couple of years ago, it's about to get a lot more important as shoppable video takes center stage.
Yeah, and we're going to get into that shoppable video piece and kind of the trend data that you're extracting from all of this. But before we get into all that and to the details, I'd love to learn a little bit more about you personally, Chelsie. Tell us your professional background and kind of what inspired you to get ViralMoment launched, and tell us your story.
Yeah. Oh man, I am so passionate about culture, how culture moves, and what people care about. So several years ago, before starting ViralMoment, I was working as a subject matter expert with the Department of State and the Department of Defense. During that time, I had such a fun job. I got to bring back technologies and help groups within the government find the right technologies to understand people and audiences online, what they were saying, what they cared about. I realized that there were a lot of great technologies that helped us to understand text. What are people saying in text? What's going on? What's trending? But nothing could manage and understand video. And that really bothered me, because when I looked out at the world and I said, hey, what's the content that's really changing people's beliefs, their decisions, influencing what they buy or how they behave? Social video was so important, and there was no way to measure it or understand what was happening within the video content. Today, there's some tools that can measure hashtags or captions, but I kind of think, who cares? I want to know what's the rich stuff going on inside the video. So I went to Carnegie Mellon for my grad degree, and while I was there, I met Shada, my co-founder. Shada is brilliant and incredible. She used to work with NASA, helping them pilot drones with computer vision. So her and I put our heads together and have really created this incredible technology that uses artificial intelligence to actually read and understand what is happening within video and across millions of videos, so that brands can finally have good strategies and don't have to guess in the dark about this stuff anymore.
Yeah. So thinking about for our audience specifically, we're obviously a retail focused podcast, but I would imagine the sectors that this technology is applicable to is it's a lot more than just retail. Tell us a little bit about kind of the audiences that you think can benefit from some of the information that you're gleaning from these social videos.
Yeah, it's funny you mentioned that. When we first started this company a little over 2 years ago, we worked with so many different types of groups. We've done projects with hedge funds, with large media companies, with government groups who, and political groups. So absolutely, there's a lot of information and a lot of really powerful knowledge that tons of stakeholders can learn about online, about what's going on online on video. But where we've actually ended up and what the company is focused on now, it's shoppable video, and it's the retail aspect of that. Joe, there is a paradigm shift happening right now where you used to have a retail footprint in a floor. It was a physical place where you could go and buy things. I'm going to tell you right now, that's becoming less and less important. And all of a sudden we've already been migrating our purchasing pattern to online over the last decade, and COVID accelerated that. But more and more, we're seeing the younger generations buy products on video, and it's social commerce. We're actually expected to buy $8.5 trillion worth of retail on video by 2030.
Yeah, it speaks to kind of the emergence of these digital channels that have kind of captured consumers' attention, and particularly younger demographics, as you noted. So thinking along those lines, tell us a little bit about how you believe social video in particular has altered consumers' purchasing behavior. So this content is out there and it's influencing what consumers are buying. So tell us a little bit about how you think that factors into the work that you're doing.
Yeah. Well, social media used to be all about top of funnel, right? It was a small part of a brand's footprint. It was how a brand maybe got the word out there. It was advertising. Maybe you had some influencers, and that was another fun way to get your brand out there. We're in a new world now. So social, like I said, social video is the new retail footprint, and video has the most important KPI linked to it now, and that is sales and revenue. So let's think about word of mouth. And we've always looked to our communities to understand, what to buy. That's always been so influential. Word of mouth is so powerful. All of a sudden, over the last several years, my community is digital, and word of mouth and influence has become digital. And that's something we're seeing, on these online platforms. So, I was scrolling TikTok the other day. I saw someone that I had been following for a while. I've never met them personally, but I follow them. I love their content, wearing a dress. It was a really cool dress. It had a cool shiny fabric. I loved it. I was really excited by it. And I wasn't just seeing that like a model on a web page, wearing it, or I wasn't seeing it hanging on a rack. I was seeing someone like me out in the wild, using this product. I bought one. I bought it on social video right then and there because I was like, wow, this is cool. This is exciting. I related to it. I wasn't even there to buy something. I was just scrolling to pass some time while I was like in New York waiting for the subway. And next thing I knew, I was making a purchase of something I love.
Yeah, it's that ease and convenience factor too. Like it's immediate. It's happening right then and there. You don't have to think twice, which is great for the retailer. They're capturing that in the moment purchasing activity. So thinking about present day, do you believe retailers and brands are doing a good job capturing those insights and trends that are emerging from the social video sphere? Maybe why they are or why they're not doing a great job of that right now.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to classify it as good or bad, but what I will say is it's new. This is brand new. It's something new that we're all figuring out. And frankly, that I'd say US based retailers are figuring out together right now. So TikTok Shop just launched officially in the US in September. So that is hot off the presses. And this is a new behavior. So brands have a long way to go to have powerful strategy to activate this new channel in a way that is effective. And so again, I don't want to say they're doing a bad job, but I will also say ViralMoment technology is the only solution that can actually read inside video. So we are seeing a lot of brands starting to use solutions that look at hashtags, what hashtags are trending. Maybe that, you can look at search intent in social as a way to start to understand things like supply and demand, or to get in front of your audience, your buyers. but that's pretty rudimentary, and we're in very, very early days. And I believe to the core of my being that by actually looking inside videos with computer vision, by listening to transcripts, by seeing, what products are moving, what products are going viral, that is the way that we can activate powerful strategy to really win on this channel.
I think an important distinction you made, Chelsea, is that you specified U.S. retailers, but I think we've seen globally some other brands and retailers in other geographies, particularly in uh, Asia and other areas of the world. They've kind of adopted to this social video, shoppable video a little more quickly than U.S. retailers. So there's kind of a learning curve, right, for retailers here in the U.S.
Absolutely, absolutely. There's a learning curve. US consumption patterns are very, very different. And I think there's a little bit of a mentality we see right now with big brands who we work with of a wait and see. Is this going to catch on in the US as it has in other areas? And I will tell you, as a brand, you can wait and see, but I think you're going to miss out on a heck of a lot of business if you do. And the people who are first to to these platforms and who are entering these platforms strategically and powerfully right now are seeing the returns on that. So we'll continue to watch consumer behavior, but with a tool like ours, you can actually have data as you watch, and you can de-risk it in a lot of ways. Maybe there's a lot of different strategies. Brands can put a toe in the water. Maybe they activate a bunch of creators before they actually are officially launched on these platforms, or maybe they officially launch with just one product line. And that's something that we're helping brands do thoughtfully and strategically.
Yeah, it's actually a great segue into what I wanted to talk about in terms of your company, ViralMoment, and what it can do to help retailers and brands in this emerging area. I'd love if you have an example that you might be able to share, particularly in the retailer or CPG brand space, that you might be able to talk about.
Yeah, I'll tell you the story of a beauty brand that we're working with, who we've really helped along the full cycle of this. Along this, there's a lot of aspects to. There's a lot of ways that we can help, and that brands should be thinking about, how do I approach this with strategy? Just like, when you have a retail footprint that's a physical footprint, you've got to think about, well, how do I stock it? How do I get people in the door? Once people are in the door, what's their consumer experience like? All those same considerations now you have to think about in the digital world and in this video world. And that's where we help out. So with this beauty retailer, the very first thing we started supporting them with was demand forecasting and inventory management. The ViralMoment technology, because we watch millions of videos every single day, we start to understand what's trending. For hair care right now, bonding products are really trending. It's products to help your hair be stronger, have stronger bonds. So we saw that trend, we saw it early, and we saw what products were emerging within that trend organically. The users were already sharing via word of mouth. And the fun part of the computer vision aspect of our product, we actually see inside the videos what products are being shown, what are people talking about. So based on that, we help the retailer to understand, what is this trend? How big is this trend? How fast is it moving? And that informs two things: demand forecasting and inventory management, and also their advertising strategy around products like this. We have had a couple instances where we help a very big global beverage retailer understand what's trending around coffee. And so if they want to think about coffee flavors and what coffee flavors they're putting out, we can actually look at the organic conversation. And so there's an innovation piece to that too. But that one I would say is an advanced use case for very advanced brands. But another thing that we've done too is media monitoring around products. So if people start to say something that's not beneficial around your product, a great example is Olaplex. If you've heard about it, I mentioned hair bonding.
For sure.
It's the original, the excellent, the big hair bonding product that we all know and love. It completely went viral because on social video, and the company saw great returns. It skyrocketed that company into the stratosphere and made it, a household name. But very recently, we've actually seen people saying Olaplex has been damaging to their hair, and that's another trend that we're seeing on social video, and we're able to help brands like that understand, how big is that trend, how fast is it moving, what are the details and dynamics behind it. Some other things that we're helping brands with is they look to actually onboard onto social selling via video, is understanding what creators might be great to partner with, or influencers. and what type of products to advertise and when to advertise versus to embrace organic. And also just how do you think about customer experience management throughout that whole entire process?
So quick follow-up on that in terms of a couple things. That brand reputation monitoring, a key piece here that you called out. I'm going to ask about the demand forecasting and inventory management in a separate question, but also is competitive data set monitoring something that your clients are
Absolutely.
interested? Yeah.
Absolutely. It's the basic data that you're used to. What's your share of voice in a given conversation? What's your share of voice when it comes to a certain trend? What's your product's share of a certain category? And also what other products might appear organically alongside your product? We have all of that data in our dashboard.
So with this information, to your point earlier, it really can help kind of crystallize your assortment planning, your demand forecasting in terms of what trends, what products are being, organically talked about in the social sphere. And then you can manage your inventory better because of that. You talked about this being a nascent field for so many retailers and brands. Getting this right, what are some of the, there's cost savings there's potentially sales gains there's better marketing ROI spend based upon your investing in channels and products that customers are talking about. Tell us a little about some of the business benefits that you think can be realized getting this right.
Yeah. I mean, it's a whole new channel that is the future. So as much as, there's an incredible host of small ROI, I don't want to say small, but ROI line items that we could rattle off right now, I would emphasize that it's bigger than that. It's really the way that we think about retail. I can't say enough. It's a paradigm shift. It's going to be wildly different. It is now already, but 5 years from now, we're living in a whole new world. Just what Amazon did to bookstores is what we're starting to see TikTok do right now to retailers. And you got to play there and you got to really understand it. So yes, there's incredible ROI right now to onboarding onto this platform, but probably the bigger thing is what you're going to miss out on if you don't get into these platforms and don't start strategically thinking about the opportunity. Your retail footprint's so important and so powerful. And this is, if you think about the metaverse, if you've ever spent time on a metaverse platform, and not to get into the metaverse right now, but it's infinite. It can expand forever. It's scalable. That's something that's just so powerful with this tech. One video can get millions of viewers and drive millions of eyeballs to product and millions of purchasers now that video is shoppable. And that's an insane dynamic that you got to take advantage of.
Yeah, let's talk about particularly TikTok Shop, because you brought that up earlier. How that you foresee impacting the retail industry. And I know some retailers are starting to dabble in that space, but there's a lot more, to your point, that are lagging behind, and there's an opportunity cost there that you want to be kind of the first to market here in many cases. Tell us a little bit about TikTok Shop and the implications you believe that particular channel can have for retail.
Yeah, I mean, let's double click on the data that already exists. We know that consumer spending on TikTok has already surpassed $2.5 billion globally. We know that 71.5% of TikTok users have shopped when they stumbled on videos in their feeds. We know that 97% of Gen Z who spend time on TikTok have discovered new fashion trends on social video, and 83% of those have made impulse purchases based on something they saw and loved. So, it's really just a matter of seeing where the world is going and being a part of that.
Are there specific categories that you think are even more critical as consumer lifestyle categories, apparel, potentially home decor? I'm thinking of certain categories being even more tangible in that space, and being more of an immediate need.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that's an incredible point to call out, Joe. One of the things about video is it's so visual, right? It's products that appeal visually. We're seeing that. So the beauty industry, the fashion industry, apparel is huge. There's a lot of products that, are maybe more experiential, that maybe don't sit in a warehouse as well. We're not seeing that. TikTok can still, or social video can still drive consumers to those experiences and products. But yeah, I think absolutely your fast moving consumer goods is where we're really seeing a lot of traction right now. But it's been really fun to watch already in the short time that this has been around, watch it develop. We're seeing there's a huge trend around thrifting, and Gen Z loves to thrift. So we're seeing a lot of things around home goods and thrifted home goods and homewares. People are actually selling and reselling on TikTok Shop. So it's not all shiny, flashy things that people are moving quickly. There's a lot of other marketplaces emerging that are kind of interesting and exciting to watch.
So you touched on a little bit earlier how kind of this is a paradigm shift in the retail industry and how consumer behavior is fundamentally changing. I'm interested to get your take, Chelsie, in terms of the continued growth of social video, because I think we both agree that this is only going to keep growing in scale. How will that potentially be complementary of brick and mortar retail stores? Maybe it detracts from what retailers are doing in physical footprints. Tell us why or how you foresee the two channels kind of meshing in terms of social and shoppable video along with physical retail.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of, I love going to retail stores as a way to experience brands. And I'm no expert on physical footprints, but we are seeing already a shift towards brick and mortar as a place of experience. And I think that social video can intertwine with that really elegantly. I love Netflix just launched a physical store at the Grove in LA where they're actually selling things that are associated with their different shows. And the two channels are bolstering each other really powerfully. People are sharing videos of their experience in the Netflix store online, and then people can now shop in the store and online, and they make the videos at the store that are then like selling the content online. So I think smart brands are going to see this and see that there's a powerful flywheel to be generated here. The experience of being able to go and touch and feel products and see things is still so powerful. I just moved to a new place. It's kind of cold where I just moved to Half Moon Bay in California, and I really want a pair of Uggs, but I don't want to buy them online because I want to see them. And I'm going to go to Macy's later and actually like try on a pair because I want to see what they look like. And I'm hungry for that experience. But maybe I'll try them on at Macy's and then I'll go and see if there's a different color or something like that, or a different version of them online.
Yeah, it's kind of that cross-channel behavior. Whatever is most convenient. The customer really doesn't care at the end of the day whether they're buying it online, buying it in store. If they want the product, they're going to get it. And that kind of being immersive with the product across all these different channels, covering your bases essentially, makes a lot of sense. And a shoppable video, just another channel in which consumers are increasingly engaging with.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So thinking about what retailers and brands that may not yet be involved in social video, if you have this company that you've kind of launched in terms of getting ViralMoment started, giving all this important information, this trend data, this product data to retailers and brands, what would be your advice for kind of getting started in this space? Are there best practices you might want to share?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is you don't have to do it blind. These channels can feel a little bit scary, a little bit intimidating. It's a new thing, right? And a lot of brands are cherished brands that have beautiful reputations, and people hold the brand in a certain way. I think that the advice I would give is that you don't have to just barrel head first into this new channel. You can use data and look at what's already out there to build a strategy that will uphold the reputation of your brand, and allow you to onboard onto these new channels that are the future of where people are buying. So it's not, it can seem kind of scary or crazy, or, there's a lot of market pressures that all kind of come down on people at once. And I would say, you're not alone. Everyone's doing this right now, and everyone's figuring it out together. And smart brands are using powerful data and metrics to make sure that they do it right. And there are resources out there to do that.
Yeah, and ViralMoment being one of them. But to your point, it's not just, we're doing it because it's this shiny new thing that people are talking about and it's got a lot of buzz around it. And Our competitor just started selling via shoppable video. We need to follow what they're doing. You're advocating, and ViralMoment is giving them some of the necessary data to make informed decisions around how this can best work for their organizations, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Great. Well, I want to take the opportunity to thank Chelsie Hall, who is the co-founder and CEO of ViralMoment, for joining us on this episode of Total Retail Tech Insights. It's been a fun conversation. Thank you, Chelsie.
Thank you for having me, Joe.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please check out our podcast channel page at mytotalretail.com/podcasts for show notes. Total Retail Tech Insights is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, and Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review this podcast. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Total Retail Tech Insights.